Hi, James Ham is there. That's Joe Brazil. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. We're hanging out with you till noon, and James Ham is hearing stuff. This is one of my favorite parts about doing a show with you is that you'll randomly text me things and be like, hey, just kind of...
You don't say.
Hearing this. Yeah. I have several friends like that, but as it pertains to this program, typically when you hear things, it means that we've got a lot to talk about, and we do today. We had Game 5 of the NBA Finals last night that the Oklahoma City Thunder won. They appear to be on the brink of their franchise's first NBA championship. We'll talk about that, and we'll get to some of the Kings. We had a ton of King stuff, just kind of little bits of like news and little rumors and little reports that are coming out that we're trying to kind of piece this together as we go to figure out if we can map out the Kings plan this offseason. But I want to get to what you were hearing first before we get to any of that, because it goes back directly to one of our insiders trade ideas of the day, which we also have coming up a little bit later on.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, there are going to be so many different rumors and misdirections and, smoke before there are fires, and there might not even be fires because that's the Sacramento Kings. There just might be a lot of smoke and then nothing. But I think what we've heard in the past is DeMar DeRozan, number one, when he was choosing which team to go to last summer, one of his options was the Sacramento Kings, of course, which is where he ended up landing. But also there was the possibility of him landing with the Miami Heat. I would say at this point, everything I'm hearing behind the scenes is that there is still interest in DeMar DeRozan from the Miami Heat, especially if they miss out on Kevin Durant. If they land Kevin Durant, I think that, all of this changes.
Sure.
Right? But if they don't end up with Kevin Durant, they're still looking for that score that they lost when they traded Jimmy Butler. And so I think the DeMar DeRozan situation will be revisited, and I think that they have plenty of things that that are of interest for the Sacramento Kings.
Sure. Yeah.
The one deal we talked about earlier, one of the our insiders proposed trades that we would look at.
Our trade ideas.
Was something like Duncan Robinson and Jaime Jaquez for DeMar DeRozan.
Sure.
But if we piece that together with what Jake Fisher is now reporting as of yesterday, the roundabout way in which he explained that a lot of teams around the league think that the Kings have already that the Kings are telling people that they may have landed a pick in the early 20s.
The Kings are telling agents that there's a high possibility that they could pick in the early 20s. And Miami has number 20.
Miami does have number 20.
That is as early into the 20s as you can get.
Yeah, so if we were to piece together a trade of what that might look like, there are a lot of different avenues there with the Miami Heat, because they have guys like Andrew Wiggins.
Okay, so
yep,
that was one I wrote down.
Okay,
I'm taking Andrew Wiggins in 20 for DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, and I would at least consider that for sure. And the reason why people out there, why would they give up a first round pick to get rid of Wiggins? It's because Wiggins is owed $30 million next season, and he has, I think
that's the 26-27 year.
I believe he has a player option at 31. At 30 million, right? So that's why when again DeMar DeRozan makes $10 million next year, if you buy him out, that's your buyout, or he makes 25 million. So either way, the Heat would save between 5 and 20 million bucks, right? So to get off of that contract.
On the based off of Wiggins.
Yeah, so if they keep DeRozan, they would save X amount of dollars, right? So that's why it would cost them to give up something like that. And then the other deal, there's Terry Rozier, who makes 26.6 million. He's not an answer at the point guard position for the Kings. You would really hope that that's not what, because again, like a poor man's Malik Monk at this point. I don't even know. I certainly wouldn't want him as a starter. He's busted up the
I was
Kings
going to
plenty
say,
of
has
times.
he not hit an inordinate amount of just ridiculous shots against the Kings?
Yeah, but you can't like base everything. This is
Just
what
start getting Kings killers on your team.
this is what got the Kings in trouble in year one. It's Derek Smith walked in the door, dropped 30 on him in a game against the Clippers, and then they gave up everything they had to go get Derek Smith,
Sure.
who then of course blew out his knee and was never the same player, and they got stuck with his contract. R.I.P. Derek Smith. Anyway, like that, you don't want to continuously
sure
go chase guys that just bust you up, because let's be honest, there's a reason why teams bust, why specific players bust up the Kings.
And this is not DeMar DeRozan doesn't make so much money that you're going, hey, we'll do anything to dump this contract.
No.
So I'm not just taking Terry Rozier back to get a first round pick to get rid of DeMar DeRozan and just to have Terry Rozier on my team.
Well, no, because then again, now you have to have a small forward.
Yeah, right. And that's where I mean, obviously, if you can do DeRozan for Jaime Jaquez and Duncan Robinson, and frankly, if all the stuff about Jaime Jaquez and them being out on him is true, I'm trying to spice that up a little bit and seeing if you can also drag a first round pick.
Yes.
Like, all right, you're trying to offload this guy. Also give us a first.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a bunch of rumors out there about Jaime Jaquez and Eric Spoelstra's ex-wife, right? She's refuted those rumors. I don't know what he said. To be honest with you, I don't really care.
Sure.
But in year one, Jaime Jaquez played 75 games.
Yeah, this is the bigger deal, what you're about to say.
Yeah, he started 20 and he averaged 28.2 minutes a game. And he averaged almost 12 points. He was an all-rookie first-team player. He was fourth in Rookie of the Year balloting. He was actually ninth in Sixth Man of the Year, but, really had a solid rookie season. And then this last season, he started 17 games, but he only played in 66. And his minutes dropped all the way to 20.7 per game.
He played 19 total minutes in the playoffs.
Yeah. So he's basically figured out a way to get himself burned from the Miami Heat. That's what it appears.
Very weird.
Yeah, it's very strange, and it does feel like, hey, maybe they're going a specific way with him, and that they're moving away from. So, but look, he's the type of player the Kings need. How many times have we said on the show that the Kings really could use a Martin twin?
Yeah, just somebody to do the dirty work.
Yeah, do all the dirty work, and isn't a great shooter, but do all the dirty work.
Yeah.
So, look, if I'm the Kings, that's who I'm chasing with this team. I like Duncan Robinson at $19.9 million and an expiring contract. Still a great shooter, 31 years old, can play the 2 and can play the 3, 6'7". Just adds depth.
The Michael Jordan of Doug McDermott's.
Yes, at this point in his career, of course. Sure. Yes, that makes sense. But also, like we were talking about this earlier, it's kind of like what Kevin Huerter is, except for Duncan Robinson has made a career playing off the bench or as a starter, bouncing back and forth between the two. He isn't a guy that started so many games and then had a really tough time going back to the bench. You can get Duncan Robinson to come off the bench and just provide you with really, really solid shooting. And it's something that we've talked about. It's not just that the Kings need a point guard, and it's not just that they need realistically an answer at the small forward spot long term. It's that they also need shooting.
No doubt.
When you trade away a guy like Harrison Barnes, and I don't know what's going to happen with a guy like Trey Lyles, but there's a possibility Trey Lyles won't be back. And you trade away a Kevin Huerter who stops being able to shoot the 3 ball anyways, but you lose that position as well. You really do need more shooting on this team. Shooting is what makes the world go round in the NBA at this point. And so if you were able to land something like, again, move, let's say DeMar DeRozan and Devin Carter, so they at least get something back. And let's not forget that Anthony Carter played for the Miami Heat. For years, he, part of their franchise. So Devin Carter's been around that franchise a lot of his life. But if you could swing a deal where you were able to move those two and come back with, something like Jaime Jaquez, something like Duncan Robinson, and potentially like the 20th pick in the draft, hey, I think that's a solid deal for both teams.
So, okay. A couple things on the Duncan Robinson front. One, there's some defensive issues there for sure, which is why you're not going to see him play 30 plus minutes. But I also think it's really important to note that he's going to stand on the perimeter and you throw him the ball and then he'll catch and shoot it. He is really good shooting off the catch, but he's also very good in dribble handoff situations, a movement shooter, which I think is a really important distinction here.
He'd be a perfect fit next to Domas.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, so
just for minutes, not like all the time.
Yeah, and again, you don't want him playing 25 minutes a night, but if you get him in that 18 to 20, 22 minute range, I think he could be a really valuable player for you. And then Jaime Jaquez, just with the numbers, you mentioned his minutes going down, but then you go look at his per 36 stuff. He was 15.1 points his rookie year, 15 last year. The turnovers ticked up a little bit, but the assist numbers were up. The rebounding numbers were way up per 36. Shooting numbers came down a little bit. But for the most part, it wasn't like he fell off a cliff and can't play basketball anymore.
No,
there may be a change of scenery needed. I don't know what's going on there, but my initial thought when I looked at, man, Andrew Wiggins in number 20, I think I would do that for DeMar DeRozan.
I would consider it for sure because it gives you a starting small forward for the next 2 years.
Yeah, it takes some of the defensive onus off of Keegan Murray. It's been shown time and time again that Andrew Wiggins is better as a tertiary option instead of a number 1 or number 2.
Well, I'd even say that first of all, he's only 30.
Which is crazy.
He's been a great defender in the league before. He's the type of defender that the Kings need, but I think, again, we're further down the road in his contract. When it was 2 years ago and everyone was like, okay, would they trade Harrison Barnes for Wiggins? It's like, I'm not taking that contract.
Sure.
But now there's only 2 years left, and one of those is player option. But the other thing with Wiggins is, like, I do believe that his best role is a scaled back role. This last year, I mean, he averaged 19 points a game after joining Miami in only 17 games. But I think the thing that I like about Andrew Wiggins is that he might be the type of player that would allow Keegan Murray to ascend.
Yeah.
He wouldn't
for sure.
take away so much. And I don't know, like there's a possibility that he would be a really good sort of partner with Keegan Murray.
Yeah, but this is where I think I lean towards. I'm taking the Rozier thing off the table. This is where I lean toward the Jaquez Robinson deal more, is because you just said it. Andrew Wiggins is 30. When his contract's up, he's 32. His athleticism is not going to get better. He's going to be past his prime. This is not a player where you're going, okay, we've got a 5-6 year window with this guy to be a contributor for our basketball team. This is Andrew Wiggins might be a player, a team that's like really going for it, goes and gets. If they think he's going to be a great fit and can just elevate his game to where he got, because he was, when the Warriors won the title in 22, he was their second best guy for a lot of those. With respect to Jordan Poole, who was also excellent early in those playoffs. In the finals, Andrew Wiggins was our second best guy. So we've seen that. It's just you don't want to necessarily bank on that in his age 30 and 31 seasons, like the next 2 years if you're the Kings,
of course.
And that's why. So if I was keeping my notes correct here, your new insiders trade of the day, revised. It was DeRozan for Jaquez and Duncan Robinson.
Yep.
But when we're piecing together kind of some of the snippets that have come out or from Jake Fisher about the Kings telling agents that they're confident they're going to have a pick in the early 20s, we're going DeRozan and Devin Carter for Jaime Jaquez, Duncan Robinson, and the number 20.
Yeah, that would be
this year's draft.
Yeah, that would be the sort of the deal that I think makes sense for both teams.
And
like, look at DeMar DeRozan, like steps right in and plays a Jimmy Butler role there. Like him and Jimmy, of course, he doesn't play defense. Yeah, he doesn't play defense like Jimmy Butler, but I'll even say this. He's a much more efficient scorer than Jimmy Butler and at this stage.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And they're not, and from what I understand of watching the Heat, again, I say this as somebody who doesn't watch 48 minutes of Heat basketball every night. But when I do watch Miami, it does seem like a lot of my turn, your turn on offense.
Yeah.
And sometimes, what's his name? Highsmith gets a look from 3.
Yeah.
But I was going to say Alex Highsmith, but he plays for the Steelers.
Haywood Highsmith.
Thank you. Jeez
Yeah.
Louise. I think that's where a DeMar DeRozan type of game works. It's gonna be some Tyler Hero. It's gonna be some Bam Adebayo. It's gonna be some DeMar DeRozan.
They were 24th in the league in points per game.
Oof.
21st in offensive rating. That's what you're trying to attack right there if you're Miami.
And when Tyler Hero wasn't scoring, they didn't have a lot.
No,
and I think DeMar DeRozan could help them.
I could very well see DeMar DeRozan being there for the full 2 seasons, and maybe if he wants to keep playing for another year after that. I mean, DeMar DeRozan he's still a bucket,
and
he's going to be a bucket. I mean, that's what we learned this season in Sacramento.
100%.
That dude's a bucket.
It's just it's not the skill, it's the fit.
Yeah, it's
and I think he fits in Miami way better than he would fit or than he did fit in Sacramento. So I like that idea. We'll have a new insiders trade of the day coming up here in a bit. But you mentioned Kevin Durant and how Miami's desire to acquire DeMar DeRozan will depend on how the Kevin Durant stuff shakes out. We've got some news